Just go back, it's a fact, I can't be this way. My head full's no control, well, I feel the same. All alone, no one knows that you have forever changed my life. Why did you pick me? Do you think I'm brave? After all, looking back, oh, it's me you see. As you say, you make me want to be the baby. And together we stand for what's right again. And together it all just makes our way. And together there is some hope again. And together we're one and done. Around and down, now I'm not afraid. After all, you made me cool every day. I am you, you are me. And together we're responsibility. And together we stand for what's right again. And together it all just makes our way. And together there is some hope again. And together we're one and the same. And together we stand for what's right again. And together it all just makes our way. And together there is some hope again. And together we're one and done. And together we stand for what's right again. And together it all just makes our way. And together there is some hope again. And together we're one and the same.
Gooding Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
Okay, guys, that was Rippaverse tribute by Doug Shea. So I got the link in the chat. We got 6 people watching. I think Eric July quote tweeted my link to this. Much thanks to that. So going to get right into this with Zalen. Of course, Zalen fulfilled starting on the 15th, so last week, and there was this printing error where some of the or the entire book had this layout error where all the double page spreads basically have the left page repeating. So on the next episode will be the 66th episode of the Braxcast. I'll show those specifically. But I think for this one, I'm just going to get into... Oh, we got Ram in the chat. Hello, how are you doing? So we're going to be talking about Zalen. So, of course, there's other stuff to talk about, but it's really just, more stuff on Satan Sinners and stuff along those lines. You got Student of God here. So we're going to go into basically what Eric was talking about with Zalen or the fallout from Zalen. They're revamping the printing process. I know the Zalen books, I believe they were printed in Canada, like Achromatic Chronicles, and they're very high quality books. But I'm going to switch to this tab and then we'll gab from there.
What's up, y'all? I just got out of this massive meeting and I wanted to give you a quick update. You all know about the print binding issues that impact some of the Zalen'S copies, but to varying degrees. But if you don't know about those details, just go watch my previous video. As of me recording this video, barely anybody has asked for a refund, but we're still giving those customers that bought Zalen'S, regardless of refund status, 60% off of their next order. And that has no spending limit. That said, I wanted to talk about how we're improving because, again, that's what this big meeting had a lot to do with after our internal investigation. Now, for you that don't know, we already overhauled our editorial team and our adjustments seem to have improved with the future books. But this issue was specifically related to pre-press and printing, and those are different teams. So this was not on the editorial team. Now, for transparency, most problems that happen in these departments and most commercial printers will feel me on this.
Yeah, so if you guys can't hear this, oh yeah, Mike has bad news. So yeah, let me go ahead and yeah, because I have the screen audio on. I think I have it playing through the wrong thing, but yeah, so I'm a bit I'm a little bit distracted here. Always have some sort of technical difficulty. But yeah, basically, oh, we got Caffeinated Wolf here, or Andrew. Yeah, I think I got the wrong thing. So going to go, let's see. No, add audio avatar. Got to get into the settings if you guys can still hear me. I just got to find the right speakers. Let's see here. Always got. Oh. Okay, so you can hear me? Yeah, because it actually is working. So, oh no, I had
You'll never know about
you
it
can hear
as a
me.
customer. We deal with that internally, and often those issues don't ever even make it to the customer. But with this recent issue, this was sort of the last straw.
Okay, so it was God. Okay, I was like, what? Okay, but anyway, I guess to get into it, because I don't think we need to go through the whole thing. Yeah, Student of God was certainly trolling there, so we're gonna. But anyway, I don't need the audio necessarily, or to play that clip. So I want to go share screen, and we're just going to go for this window here, and then we'll add it to the stage. Saints and Sinners, over $200,000. So it's going to get to that 250K milestone pretty handily, considering it's got over 50 days. So we're going to get the concept art book and that hardcover as well. We got Amaze into the chat. Nice to see you. Definitely a long-time viewer of the Braxcast. Very much appreciative of that. But I guess we can go to, well, we have the Zalen'S trailer. I don't necessarily need it, but yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of I guess people losing their minds over this book being misprinted. I guess the one thing is that to talk about like the physical print errors is what I'll be doing on the next episode of the Braxcast, breaking that down. But I guess for this, and I don't have all the things prepared, and I'm like really conflicted whenever stuff like this happens, because I'm of course very much aware of all the drama that surrounds the Rippaverse, and all these people have this constructed view of what the Rippaverse is, and then they're going to try and make everything that happens as construing that. And of course, it's this idea that the Rippaverse is fraudulent and fake, and they're selling let's see, worthless product or whatever. Let's see, have you considered doing a side-by-side comparison of the art book to the pages in the Zalen'S to see how stuff was meant to look? So yeah, I'm going to do next week, not this episode of Maze. I'm going to go through the art book with something like the art book. The art of Joe Bennett #2 is actually featuring art from both Horseman and Zalen'S. So I'll see if I can get some of those 2-page spreads for Zalen'S. Let's see. Oh yeah, well there was reviews out before before Eric's video about the misprint, and they didn't even mention it. I didn't notice it. Yeah, I didn't notice it either when I first read it. So I put my review out on Sunday, and then I think it was like Monday, Tuesday. is when I think I think it was Monday is when the email about the misprint and explaining everything. I was like, what? There's a misprint? It's really subtle. It's on the 2-page spreads. So, if a lot of pages for comics, you'll have that white border. And if the end of the white border is misprinted, that doesn't really change much. And since most people aren't like really flattening out the book and really looking intensely at the spine, especially of how good Joe Bennett's art is on Zalen, right? It's really mesmerizing, especially with Marco's colors. That's what I mentioned in my reviews, that the color work from Marco's really elevated the art of the book. So yeah, it makes it a real minor error. And the printing is high quality otherwise. The paper feels really nice. The inks are really clean. The cover is really high quality. So it's a really nice book to hold in the hand. It has this really amazing, well, I guess amazing, but yeah, no, it's a well-bound book, and all the Rippaverse books have been. So in terms of the print quality, it's just a layout issue. So hopefully, stuff like this doesn't happen going forward. They catch things quicker, and they're able to have the release schedule be, picking up even more. Although with, I guess, not having stuff like this happen again. And of course, there's the whole. I think, well, there's two things I noticed with this. One thing that goes around with this is that you have this like, oh, you have to pay to refund it. That's not the case. If you put in the support ticket, they'll send you a return label, and then you can ship it. You don't have to pay FedEx or the post office or whatever to get your refund. Although you might have to. Although I think they were quick about it enough that most people, I imagine, would still have the mailer, so they just tape back the mailer up and then hand it off to FedEx. Most people aren't doing that. So that is oh yes. So Rippaverse is my favorite universe. I guess I'll talk about this Student of God because as a customer of Zach, I guess technically still am. He's definitely not I don't know. but anyway, Zach talked very positively about the Rippaverse, ISIP 1 and 2 when they launched. And this is about 2.5 years ago. I'd say probably 2.5 years ago is the better you know quantity of time to use. He talked about it very positively. Then of course we have this shift in the narratives. Like, oh yeah, well anyway, we'll get into Andrew's comment. We have a lot of stuff happening fast. If you caught the stream, Carol was on last night. A comic statue dropped. Something is coming next week. That's going to be exciting. Oh, okay. So that's going to maybe I'll move things around. Maybe I will talk about the art of Joe Bennett this week, so that way I can cover it, and then I'll go very minor into the print issues. Because the thing I'm picking up with the community is that we got Garfield in the chat, we got Zay Comics in the chat, really nice. I actually got my Psycho Slumber today, so I definitely got to read and review that. I really, I like all the other stuff that you guys did, which is why I wanted to support Psycho Slumber. And I'm sure Zayd, you're a mod, you can spam the link in your chat all you want to, your books or whatever live stream you want to do. But anyway, to get it back on, well, that will be exciting. I'll probably have 67 if I'm getting my Braxcast right to cover what's coming out next week. And I'm pretty sure, hopefully it's Alpha Core 2, but we'll see what it is. It's going to be exciting. So something next week. So yeah, GBA. Oh, I guess that's a shorthand way to say that. Says Richard Love 1 and 2. Now he's claiming it's the worst comic book ever made. I'm not sure if he's quite that. Maybe he said that. I haven't read through all of his community posts. But he has this, I don't know, it's the same thing that he's accusing like Neurotic and G and the Critical Drinker, the birthday party clowns, right? It's really just this extreme crash out, and it's really, really cringy to see. And of course, if he was getting his books out, that'd be one thing. But I didn't get my add-on box with Rock and Roll Ninja. I got Iron Sights. I think I ordered all three. I haven't gotten those. So I really don't care. Hopefully he does well, but he's got really no I'd say, I don't say business, but it's just I don't see why he's this passionate against the Rippaverse, because I don't think the Rippaverse is this big problem for the indie comic scene. And I think the I don't know. I think the issues is like with Diamond going bankrupt and the LCSs, because Image is still putting out some good stuff. I like Battle Beast #1. I put my review out for that, and of course they're publishing. Not was Image doing I think Image is doing Vatican City. If I can't remember, I'd have to, because I have the review copies, and I'm pretty sure. No, actually, it's Dark. I think it's Dark Horse publishing Vatican City. So there are some of the the bigger I guess the more mainstream, or legacy probably be the better word to use, smaller companies like Image and Dark Horse. They still have some good stuff that's coming out. Like I like Battle Beast #1. I think it's a good series for Kirkman to do. I think he's still a pretty good writer, and I think when Transformers went to Skybound and Image, that is doing a lot better. If Transformers fan was in the chat, he'd be able to tell me, because he of course is into that. But that is really, I don't know, that's the thing, is keeping the distribution alive and having this environment where we can make interesting comics is the bigger thing. And I don't think well, actually, I know the reverse isn't what's hindering that, and what's been the problem for the modern American direct comic book market. But I don't know. I guess he's acting like what he's doing is fraudulent or defrauding people, and this is really just concern trolling, because they don't care about me or any of the Rippaverse customers, in terms of like them not getting scammed. Like it's like they'll say that, and then if you say like, oh well, or you have voice any sort of objection to that, just have insults ad hominems and all those sorts of things. So let's see. Energon Universe has been incredibly good. I don't know about that Amaze, and it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Vatican City is with Dark Horse, and I reviewed 1 and 2 because I'm on the mailing list. Mark Miller was very well. Actually, Narwhal added me in the like tweet Mark Miller, or Millar, however you say it, was making about sending review copies out to people. So he DM'd me, said, give me, or email this person, and she'll get you onto the mailing list for the review copy of Vatican City 1. And that got me on the review copy for basically all the Netflix World stuff that Mark Miller is doing. So it's like Miller World, and you've got Vatican City, I think, like Huck and some other stuff that he's doing. So, and he's a really good writer. So that stuff there certainly is interesting. And when I went to my LCS to pick up Battle Beast 1, I saw Huck, and I was like, maybe I should get it, but I didn't. Even though they're pretty cheap, $3.99, especially compared to like Rippaverse books. But of course, something like Battle Beast is around 30 to 40 pages or so, and so was Vatican City 1. Whereas something like Zalen'S is 80 pages. Of course, one's 96, and then even the shorter ones, 56 for Yaira 2, I believe. Goodings around that length, and I'm not sure if I think Great War 2 is 72. If I'm getting it correctly. Let's see. I'm not completely caught up, but what I've read of the Energon universe, I agree, has been really good. Well, that's good to hear. So, and like I not said, but let's see. Maybe I should get a different visual, or maybe I should go to the Zalen'S collection. Yeah, I signed up for Mark Millar's preview stuff. So yeah, no, I think he's he's doing stuff right. Definitely with I got Comics, but we'll go to the Zalen'S collection, because this week we're talking about Zalen'S. I think I'll talk about the Art of Joe Bennett next week. Art of Joe Bennett too. So this, or I'll talk about it this week, because there's something coming out next week. I saw that stream that Caro did with Comic Stat, but Andrew telling me that, I'm very appreciative, because I can plan, because I have this book, because I actually I put in the order like a month or so ago, and then they got it to me. Revolutionary concept. So I can talk about the book, right? And this is I guess the thing I'll comment on. The guy, I said this to my co-host of Hump Day Potpourri, or I guess I'm his co-host, however you want to view it. And I keep him in the loop on all the drama against Rippaverse, because this is how he and I met. He was a member of Eric's site before the Rippaverse launched, and he put a couple bucks in the pot to help get him to launching the Rippaverse, and I think he definitely has been very supportive of it, from someone who's not a fan of comics in general. And I sent him the one where Richard's going off on someone as Indiegogo saying like, I'm not a UNICEF kid, so you don't need to support me. And it's like really, really against what crowdfunding is the fact that the reason why you're willing to wait for the books and have the production like or bear through the production hiccups is that you're genuinely invested in what the creator is doing and you're supporting them. That of course doesn't mean they are obligated to you in every single like facet of existence, of course not, but I say some like basic respect. And the thing is that it's a book that you get or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but the whole thing is like, I don't have Iron Sights. I don't have, a good bit of the Jawbreakers books. And it comes so long after I get them. And, I guess part of this is on me is that, I'm not really that motivated to read them. And of course, with the way he's been acting, it kind of has that association. But anyway, like if you don't have the books to read and review and get into, then there's really that like that part of the transaction hasn't happened, and that's why there's going to be some animosity there. But I don't know. The whole thing is that like this is like part of this crash out that's happening in indie comics, and the Rippaverse is just, I don't know, I guess the scapegoat for the as to the reason why a lot of this industry, I guess the comic book industry, is in the state that it is in. And it's certainly, I'm not going to say everything has to do with what's been happening the past 10 years. I think a lot of these problems in the industry have been going on since before I was alive. That's the impression I get from talking to people who have been reading comics, back in the 80s, even the 70s, like John's Longbox, probably around the time he started, saying hey, when it started going down the tubes in the late 90s, they basically never recovered. And this was just really all of the cultural Marxism or the woke stuff is like the final nail in the coffin. Yeah, moving kind of fast. If you're saying I'm speaking too fast or going through topics, I'm a bit scatterbrained. I had a graduation with my family members last night, and I was up like really late, so this whole day has been off. So so if I'm like rambling or on the going too fast, I apologize. But yeah, I'm a bit like it's been a bit of a weird day, and this is like a really weird time in my life. But I want to keep it about comics. So the anti woke. Let's see. Yeah. We'll just read this. And the anti woke content got dry, so they needed something else. That's what happened. Honestly, I agree. But the whole thing for me is, I guess that's proof is that like if you can't make videos about Marvel or DC or whatever being bad or not worthwhile or not worth interacting with, and you can only make so many videos about how broke Mags Visaggio is and all these other comic book artists. And some, like I think I forget his name, but this is one of the first videos I watched from EVS back in like I think January of 22 or so. That's when I started getting into comics. Yeah, it was like the end of 21, December 21, and then like the beginning of 22 is when I started buying like Cyberfrog books and backing all of his projects. And then I backed to like I think like Graham Nolan and a whole bunch of other guys through getting into Comicsgate at the time. Yeah, definitely check out Mighty Golden Patriot. And we can go to yeah, we got Rip Ascend here, so we can actually go to Golden Patriot. And this is one that I got to get in on, but I'm moving, so I can't put this in a hero stash because that doesn't exist for. Oh, I love how. Thank you for saying that. Good. So, but anyway, Golden Patriots, $86,000. So it's going to hit that $100,000 goal. Now I think like some of this is not some of this, but I think I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why I think ISOM 1 made the amount of money that it did. And there certainly was a lot more unity of the around the comic book scene. So most of the people who are currently, and we were just talking about your boy Zach, he was on board with the Rippaverse when it first launched. And that was the attitude of Comics Day. Of course, EVS was hyping him up, and this is part of the reason why I was as into it as I was, because he did the cover for Iceman 2 cover B, and I actually really like that cover. And I know Renown Zero doesn't like EVS's line work, has been critical of, but I think most of his art's pretty good. His writing I don't think is the best, and of course the output is just, honestly, it's just laughable in comparison to the Rippaverse. And you can say that these books are awful, you can say these books are bad, but I have them, I read them, and I like them. And that's really all that matters when it comes to an interaction between the seller and the buyer, is how the buyer feels about the product and the seller being able to provide it. And that's what I know Andrew is here. That's what you guys are doing at the Rippaverse, is that you're just making the books, putting them out. And of course, not everything is perfect. There's plenty of things that you guys can improve on, and I've said that in my reviews about some of my problems, like with Great War Separation and with Zalen. I think some of the world building could have been linked to the broader Rippaverse a little bit better. And of course, you have that, like, I forget what their names are, like Carrigayan or whatever. Basically the raiders who were stealing the water from that planet, like primordial planet, or primitive, better word, planet, primitive planet. We're speaking a, like, like alien tongue, like Klingon. So, and you can't tell what they're saying, so it feels a bit like that's the thing. That's a big problem. I just wish there was some translation, because I feel like stuff like that gives you some lore. It helps with the immersion. But and of course you have the printing error. Like, looking at it closely, it's like you can see it, but most of the double page spread, of course, are intact, and they're so good. Man, like, Joe Bennett is such a good artist, and that's the thing. When I first read it last Sunday, I believe, and you guys have responded really well to the Zalen review. That's gotten over 300 views, probably, like, in terms of other than the Bloodroof review. And you guys have been watching the Bloodroof review. Like, I made it like almost 3 months ago, and this past month people have been like really watching it. So I don't I don't know why. It probably has something to do with the drama surrounding the double page spread of Choke being split up. Maybe so people are just typing Bloodroof in more and they're watching my video. But let's see. Interesting topic. Oh yes, the dramatic reading. So yeah, Student of God did message me that. So yeah, here we go. So we're going to go put that there. Switch here. So yeah, so yeah, I think you got the idea here. So yeah, there's been stuff like this. Where you basically just take, and Rippaverse has even done this to some extent with the trailers, where they take comic art from the trailers and use it to make something that's a bit kind of animated, but you combine this with a voiceover, and you have some creative editing between the still images, and you can create the illusion of motion pretty easily. And that is, I think, the intention. That's a cool thing. That'd be a cool thing for Rippaverse Studios to do with some of the comics, because you could get something that scratches the itch of animated content without spending the money you need to do something like an animated show or a movie, or especially like live action. So I think this is definitely something you guys should consider, and hopefully we see what Rippaverse Studios is doing pretty soon. So let's see. You guys suck at spoilers. Are you talking about me, or are you guys talking about not spoiling stuff? I'm not sure exactly. Let's see. But yeah, no, that's my take on it. We got 16 viewers in the chat right now. So yeah, Student of God posed this question. He sent it to me in the DMs, and I agree, and that's my take on it. It's something Rippaverse Studio should do, and it doesn't necessarily, like I said, have to be dramatic readings. But I think if you use the got spoiler on my mind. If you use the comic book art to make I say not animated, but like, videos, and you use creative editing, you can create that illusion of motion and really make something immersive, especially if you've got a good voice actor. I think the voice actor for Ryan Solari is fantastic. So doing some select scenes of Alpha Core, like that, like what I'm proposing, I think would be a really cool thing to do. So that's my 2 cents on that. Of course, we were talking about Golden Patriots. So this is definitely one I'm pretty interested in. And it's going to be interesting to see what Dillard and Yellow Flash do after this and how quick they can keep the output on this, because it took a while for them to get this book out, because they were talking about it for a good long while. So hopefully Dillard's had some time to draw the next one, or maybe they're just waiting to see how this one is doing before they start working on the next one. But anyway, I think most people are pretty on board with the idea. Uh, yeah, motion comics are fun. Seems like a cool idea, exactly. And I think that's a good term to use. So I think that's what Student of God is getting at. Um, and you could really make that work, and you could add a lot of depth to the story. So if you have like a motion comic come out alongside, so let's say Horseman #1 has a motion comic that adapts some select scenes, and it comes out like the week of fulfillment. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do. Let's see. So, who has money for the full VOE free subscription? Use that to create some Rippaverse live action. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with generative AI. It's only going to get better and more advanced. Of course, you have the ethical issues that surround it with copyright. This path that we're walking down is going to require more energy. People are going to want more computing power. And of course, people are going to want the singularity. There's a lot of wacky stuff that people are going to do to try and get to the singularity. Let's see, we'll go to Saints and Sinners as well. I wonder if Dillard is going to make his primary focus moving forward. I mean, decent chance. I mean, he says his commissions are still open, and I'd love to talk to Dillard and pick his brain on his process and everything. He's a really good artist, and I definitely am going to get Mighty Golden Patriot, but hopefully I can get it sometime like late next month, and when everything works out. So let's see. Got 9-minute cartoons could be a thing, definitely. But I think even that, like committing to doing that, I'm not sure if that's where Rippaverse Studios is at yet. And I'm not sure because, Eric wants to have this real controlled growth, right? And that, or, doesn't want to overextend. So the primary focus is the comics, and you're committing to doing, like, let's say, a 9-minute cartoon every 2 months. It might be might be taking money away from maximizing the comic, the output of the comics. That's really, I don't know, that's the perspective I have. But doing the motion comics, like basically a shoot off of what dramatic readings the Student of God was talking about, that's going to be a lot less cost intensive, and like I said, it's going to scratch the edge. It's not as good. So I would love to have regular like 9-minute animations, these short animations that are coming out on a regular schedule. I'm just not sure if the Rippaverse is at a point where they can justify it without it being something that takes away from their ability to maximize the comic book production output. If you understand what I'm saying. So, and that should be the main focus of the Rippaverse or the comics. You make it longer, then chop it up. Yeah, no, I don't think I think the issue is when talks about animation, it's just regardless of the length. So if you make a half an hour animation and then chop it up into, let's see, that'd be 4 6-minute, if I'm 5 6-minute, oh my god, 5 6-minute animations, right? You're still having to produce 30 minutes worth of animation. You're still going to have to pay the animator, rather than if you're doing the same amount as these individual animations. So let's say you do this for those 5 6 month animations every 2 months, you're still same amount of animation you're paying for, right? And I'm saying, like, producing 1 30-minute animation a year, or doing 10 are 5-6 minute ones in a year is going to have the same cost, and them doing that is not. I'm not sure if that's somewhere they can justify doing that. And that's the point I'm saying. But whereas a motion comic would be a lot cheaper. So let's see. I propose to just do preview stuff from the Ripazine. Yeah. Are we talking about are you talking about like for the motion comics, or just um I think I love the previews, but I think there's books that can have like less previews. Or I'm not. I think they can lean less on the previews and have more original content in the Ripazines. Um, but I'm not sure exactly. Let's see. Or oh, I see what you're saying. So to make the previews in the Ripazines the motion comics. Yeah, that honestly would be a pretty good one. I think that's what you're getting at. I'm confusing myself. Anyway, like I said at the beginning, Saints and Sinners is doing really well. And I'm really excited to get that concept art book and that hardcover announced or added. Um, but man, so probably I imagine Black. I'm not sure Norfolk of Glorious Death is going to be coming out next week, but decent chance we get either Black Eyed Club, The Cursed, or Alpha Core 2. I hope it's Alpha Core 2 because you know me, guys. I'm waiting with bated breath for Alpha Core 2. That's my most anticipated Rippaverse book. And the fact that I don't have it yet is, I don't know. It's just not. I don't feel as whole of a person as I could if I had Alpha Core 2 in my hands and I could read it. That's all I'm saying. Of course, I'm being a little bit dramatic there, but yeah, hopefully we get Alpha Core 2 soon. But I know that Joe is still working on it, so I'm skeptical that it'll be Alpha Core 2. So a decent chance it'll be a Black Eyed Club with The Cursed. And it might even be Yaira Free because but I'm not Yaira. The Yaira Free already came out. Oh my I'm not sure. Yeah, Yaira Free wouldn't get it because Yaira Free already got announced. I'm like, what am I even saying? And the collection is still ongoing. I forget. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be Norfolk. But yeah, Black Eyed Club, The Cursed, and I forget there were some others. I have a spreadsheet. Yeah, we need more wrestling stories. Let's see. It's not Alpha Core 2. So disappointed, Andrew, but I can understand. That's what I said. I was thinking about like it's not Alpha Core 2 yet, but it's moving along great. Well, that's good to hear. And of course, when you got Joe Bennett, and you said Joe Bennett just he gets what the pages you give him, he gets them done. And honestly, I love that. He's just such a master of the craft. So hopefully, he's got many years with you guys because he's just such a fantastic artist, and you can feel the passion in all the pages that he puts out. So and we definitely want more Zalen because with the way Chuck established Zalen's character, there's more that needs to be done to really link him and establish him with the Rippaverse. And that definitely needs to happen if you even think about wanting to hand this character off to a different team, which, I think if the Rippaverse goes on for long enough, let's say like 20 years from now, the Rippaverse is still super popular, then it's just going to be the case where you have to hand it off to somebody because, nobody lasts forever. So you're going to have to, and if people are going to want Zalen and Isom and all these, you're going to have different people work on them. But yeah, we definitely need, if you want Zalen, and I definitely think the community wants Zalen to be a character in the Rippaverse going forward, there's going to have to be, I think Chuck and Joe definitely need to really lay more groundwork for Zalen. And they haven't, like the What Kills Must Die is really good. I love this format of having a graphic novel, like a big meaty one, introduce a character, and then you can have shorter issues expand the story. That's what they did with Horseman. And fantastic job with this, and it seems like that's it definitely can happen with Zalen. You just have to green light that, and then you're going to give. I mean, honestly, I would be on board for a Zalen ongoing series, but you said like Joe would have to sign on for that. So if Joe can do 3 ongoing series for the Rippaverse, then I am all for it. And I think based on what you guys have said about the review, or not the review, about the book. Those of you who have gotten it before it was taken off store to correct that misprint, really like it. I've been seeing a lot of positive stuff. People either not noticing the misprint at all, or the ones who do saying it's not that big of a deal. And that's really the camp that I'm in. Looking at it closely, you can see it, and it does mess with the 2-page spreads a little bit, but the rest of it is just drawn, made so well. But you got GDV8819 in the chat. What's up, all? Hail to you. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, we definitely need more wrestling stories. Or not need, but I want an SSWL story. So I'm not like a big wrestling fan, but I love the idea of the SSWL, and I think there's a lot of like lore intentions. So that's why we're really excited for the underdog with Saints and Sinners. And of course, if I click on Saints and Sinners here, see, I love looking at the backgrounds of Zalen'S. What Mike Has Bad Knees is saying. It's like, yeah, definitely on a closer examination, they look really good. There's a lot of detail. There's even a Lord of the Rings reference in the end. I forget exactly what the basically the green service workers. But the thing I love about Zalen'S character is that he knows all of their names and he treats them with respect. So he has this very like measured way of going about things, but he also has his own moral code. So he's this very rigid character, but he's operating basically independently. So he wants to be his only authority. So he has a ship, he has the people who he commands authority over, and then that's really it's not going to like have any structure outside of that. So it definitely seems to be the development for this character, Zelen, is him having his authority challenged by like the general and these other like interstellar organizations, because I think there's multiple in the Rippaverse, because RDD's hints at that as well. And you've got of course Zelen, and they seem to be completely different. And also I'm looking for the Bong and Spingy crossover book. Like those characters they go together really well. But yeah, the art for Zelen is fantastic. Those 2-page spreads, the character designs for Tilla Bong. I forget what those green guys are called. I think it's Solas. If I'm getting the cetacean, you got like the massive whale that is the like basically life source, like the warp drive navigational system for the ship. So there's a lot of like mysticism. So this is a good blending of science fiction and science fantasy, where fiction has more hard technology that explains the interstellar travel and all of the futuristic technology, with science fiction or science fantasy, where you just have all this fantastical mystical stuff happening, and instead of it being Dungeons and Dragons, it's spaceships and aliens. And that's more like along, like you think of the contrast between Star Trek and Star Wars. That's what I'm getting at. And also, yeah, there's the whole idea of the story being cosmic. And it's really just a sense of scale, because there's a much larger sense of scale. Travel between multiple planets, the faster than light travel. A lot of the scenes take place in space. Of course, Zelen is like this Omni-Man character. He can basically breathe in space, which is really, like really cool. So he gives him this really like otherworldly sense of strength that all of his crew respect. And I think that feeds into his sense of authority that he has. Let's see. So next topic. Did Eric July hint that printing his own books in his last video where he fired someone might open up possibilities down the line? So yeah, I guess we can talk about that. And I don't necessarily need to pull up the video and commentate on all of it. But yeah, the idea was they were changing up the entire pre-printing, or the printing process, and of course the proofing process. So I'm not sure if they're going to get their own printing facility. But I think honestly, at the output that they're going, becoming their own printer is going to be what they will want to do in the long term, because it's going to reduce costs. And of course, you get more control over the ability to produce. That's just a massive endeavor. And of course, that's a lot of technical stuff. Let's see. Did you say there's people stealing water? Oh yeah. But it's at the beginning of the book. And if you said spoilers and you're like, you don't want me to spoil that for you, but it's like, it's the first, it starts, I'd say, in media res, where it's starting, where Zalen already being this established character who's enforcing his morality, what kills must die, onto the, in the cosmos. And that's the first thing. And that's what the preview art you see. Um, oh, let's see. Oh, you need spoilers. So you want me to tell you what that is? But yeah, it's the very first event in the book. So basically, um Zalan is taking down these bounty hunters who are taking the water. He basically destroys their ship and has all the water just fall down on like one go, and basically creating, like a massive floods, but they get the water back. And of course, the next scene you have Tilla saying like, "Oh, you went about it the wrong way. It was riskier for them." But he's like, "What's done is done." So yeah, it's just a really good scene, and of course, it's just really indicative of the fact that Chuck Dixon has this really good ability to set structure, and of course, Joe just really knocks it out of the park with the toothpaste spread, the first one of the planet being desolate that draws you in. And then just the character designs are also really cool. So you've got this like blend of stuff that looks familiar with stuff that looks definitely fantastical. And of course, you got this good blend between the organic aliens and like the Reaper like machines that are flying around. Although not quite as ominous as the Reapers, but it's just got this blend of everything. So I want you to tell him everything. So it's not just killing; it's the killers of civilization. Yeah. So life is the most sacred. Life is the most not sacred. I guess sacred is part of that. It's the most scarce thing in the universe. Zalen is understanding of that. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, I am aware of the consequences of my actions. Tala, yeah, that's what he says, and I honestly really like Zalen's character. And it's going to be good to see it develop, and I like Tala. I'm saying yeah, Tala and Bong. Bong definitely is going to be more of a sidekick. And Tala is going to definitely be more. I don't know. I guess like a first mate dynamic, like the way you have Spock, and I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan, but you got Spock and oh my god, William Shatner's character. Why can't I God, I can't remember. But anyway, the dynamic between them as a brain fart, I should know what the name of that character is. But I know it's played by William Shatner, and I forget Kirk. If I can Kirk something, or is it just Kirk? But anyway, the dynamic between those two characters is something I see happening between Tala and Zalen. And of course, Tala's got that feminine touch to her, and I think Zalen is this really masculine stoic character, like Omni Man is. But Zalen does, it pops off to me like he isn't this massive conspirator. Like he's genuine about his actions to the people around him. Whereas we get introduced to Omni Man, and he's living this complete lie because he's going to invade the Earth and subdue it, and enslave all the humans to make a Viltrumite army. But he's acting like he's just a regular dandy superhero. Yeah, Kirk. Pleb. Yeah, take my geek card. And I did say Kirk, so I did get it. It was just escaping me. But yeah, I'm a fake nerd. So I'm not like, I don't know. I like science fiction. I've written science fiction, but I'm not like the most like cosmic. I'm not cosmic. I like space and stuff like that. I like Mass Effect. But yeah, I don't know. I do like Star Wars, but I don't know. I never got into Star Trek all that much, but I do. Yeah, Kirk and Spock. So, but I didn't watch I did watch some Star Trek, but I never got into like watching like all of it. It's really is technical, and of course the modern Star Trek shows have completely drank that Skittles Kool-Aid, and trying to say, oh, the show was always, socially progressive. You had the first interracial kiss and all those sorts of things on the original Star Trek. So, it has to be pushing the modern day agenda. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion. So GDV is saying SW or Star Wars is better than Star Trek, and honestly, wouldn't disagree with that. I don't think I have the intimate knowledge of both franchises, but Star Wars is what appealed to me more, especially as a kid. And I love the original trilogy. Definitely, I think the prequels have the charm, but the sequels. I liked Force Awakens, but I think we just got caught up in the hype of Star Wars starting up again, and us getting more Star Wars content. Then, um, yeah, and then I guess in hindsight, especially with The Last Jedi, and I initially was like, oh, The Last Jedi is a decent movie, but thinking more on it, it's like, really missed the mark. And of course, and after I watched first half of the season of Mandalorian, I really liked it. I think it's good. But the whole thing with Gina Carano happened, and then it just really has been downhill for the Star Wars franchise. But of course, you've had some good video games. I like the Lego Star Wars games when I was a kid. I was playing it on the 360, I don't know, 15, even at this point, closer to 20 years ago. Because I'm getting to that age where stuff's been 20 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, I was doing stuff. Well, so I was doing stuff in elementary school 20 years ago, but still. So yeah, it's probably closer to 20 years ago at this point is when I was really into the Lego Star Wars games, and those were fantastic. I love those original Lego games because the cutscenes had no voice acting, so they had to get really creative about how they told the story. And then with the later Legos games, and I didn't really get into them, but they started to voice acting and making them more produced, and I think that kind of ruined the charm of a lot of it. But that's my own subjective opinion. So there's no way you can't know Captain James T. Kirk, the first big sci-fi epic, changed the medium, changed conventions, Comic-Con, evolved some Star Trek conventions, so your history, yes, logic's fine. So yeah, I got his name, Captain Kirk, but James Tiberius Kirk, because I did watch the ones with Christopher Pine, right? That J.J. Abrams did. But yeah, I don't know, my dad likes Star Trek. I know my sister is really into Star Trek at some point. But me, I watched a couple episodes of the original, and I think you can get a lot of interesting philosophical stuff on the Enterprise. And of course, people love Picard, Frontier, and I think there's Captain Janeway. That was back in the 90s. I think that was the Next Generation. If I'm getting my knowledge, I'm getting it correct because I know nothing about. Let's see, Force Unleashed, Force Unzipped. Disney Star Wars is not Star Wars, and I'll agree with you, GDV. So yeah, when I'm thinking about Star Wars for me, I'll think the prequels or the originals, the prequels, and then some of the Clone Wars stuff. Because I remember Clone Wars, the movie came out in 2008, and my dad took me to see it. And my dad's a boomer, so he saw the original Star Wars in '77, and he went with his friends in the '80s to see the Empire Strikes Back in the last it's not Last Jedi. Ah, forget. Oh my god, I'm so guys, I gotta quit being a nerd. I can't remember. No, it wasn't The Last Jedi, because Last Jedi was the sequel. Yeah, Star Trek sucked. The movie Star Trek sucked. I mean Star Trek sucked. The movies are cool though. Are you talking about J.J. Abrams movies? Because I like the original Star Trek or the original reboot Star Trek, and then I think there was Star Trek Into Darkness, kind of like that. So, see, I know times have changed, but Gen X should know where you come from. Don't be afraid to at least know the foundations, everything, even if you don't like them. I agree. So I'm not super against, like I said, I have knowledge of Star Trek, and I know that oh my god, he played the yeah. I can't think Patrick Bateman. My God, I forgot his name. But yeah, Jean-Luc Picard's character, and it's just all these names are escaping me. So yes, I am the fakest fan that there was ever has been. So I know Gen Z doesn't necessarily like or care for the Foundation IPs, but there's plenty to learn. I 100% agree with your Logic's finest. That's why I'm not going to say that what happened in the 60s. And I got a lot of respect for the original show in the 60s, because y'all have all these interesting philosophical concepts the show dealt with. So I don't think I'm not like knocking on it. I'm just not the most knowledgeable on it. That's the thing. Let's see. So yes, I mean, let's see. So yeah, baby boomers are over 80 years old. Your dad sounds like Gen X, like myself. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think I know I was born in between the millennial and Gen Z generation. And that's basically where my dad is at. He's like basically like the youngest baby boomer. But I don't need to get into it too much personally, but all right, I don't get into my family life, but yeah, I'd say a lot of the older Gen Xers, have stuff in common with my dad and the boomers, the baby boomers. And when people think of the boomers, they think of people who were like teenagers in the 60s. When the sexual revolution and the hippie movement were happening. Those were the ones who were behind it, and they party a lot in the 60s and the early 70s. And then they all got corporate jobs, and they really just destroyed the American culture, or they got psyoped into doing it. I think is more accurate, and probably they had been since childhood. But that is a discussion that is way out of the scope of this comic book live stream. So, and also you guys got to boo me because I don't have enough knowledge on Star Trek. So I am going to get flogged by a bunch of nerds. Let's see. Don't necessarily want to. I don't even know what I'm doing, but yeah, I mean, Saints and Sinners is going to be a really cool thing to see. And I think we got a comment from So Logic Twice looking forward to Saints and Sinners #1. Great idea. Rippaverse keeps building, and I talked about this when this launched. That having a anthology series for the Rippaverse is genius, and I hopefully this is going to be something that they do regularly. And when you make $200,000 in just over just about 2 weeks or so, right? It's going to be something that they're going to keep in the rotation. So hopefully we get Saints and Sinners 2 and 3, and it's an ongoing series for a good long while. And I love the concept of it. I love the team that they got together for this first issue. So it definitely has everything it needs to keep on going. And there's no shortage when you're at the scale of the Rippaverse of people that aren't going to be willing to work with you. Writers, artists, and other creative people. Of course, it's not going to be as big of a net as it otherwise would be, because you've got some people who don't want to associate with the Rippaverse, and that's fine. But still, plenty of people who are going to see that people actually buy the books, so they have money, and they actually want to get work done. And that's the thing that I really like. And we got Drunk Free Prio in the chat saying that he hopes people enjoy the stories. I'm pretty sure they will. Definitely looking forward to reading Across the Bear. I believe that is the story that you wrote. So it's going to be fantastic to get your story and all the others. And of course, hopefully we get more Achromatic Chronicles. Because I liked Blue and Green. I liked Achromatic Chronicles Blue and Green. And I think it's good. It's a good all ages story, and I like the premise of it. So I think you're a good writer, J3PO. So I don't have any doubt, or I'm not going to be or I'm giving you. I have good faith that you'll have something interesting in Across the Bear. I'm sure you got the Sus because you got Eric Shalai, you got Critical Drinker. So I think you guys know what you're doing. And it's going to be a fun book to read, and I'm sure the fans are going to respond positively. And if they don't, then there's always better luck next time. But most of the stuff that the Rippaverse has put out, basically everything, most people respond to positively. Although, of course, you've got people who, some things don't hit. Some people just don't like certain books altogether. And of course, I've seen people who just don't like superhero books in general. They buy the Rippaverse books, and they still don't, which is perfectly okay. But we got some stuff. Let's see. Read all the stories, but Jay's. That's a bit mean. But I think that is trolling. So I can see comic veterans and indie creators working on Saints and Sinners going forward. Really looking forward to that. That's what's already happening. So of course you got Cliff Richard and the Soskas, and they've been around the block. But you also got ads. You also have Babyface. He's never written anything before for comics, as far as I'm aware. I believe that was part of that's what they were saying when Saints and Sinners debuted. So that's something that's happening with this first issue, and I think it's something that's going to happen well. It's going to happen basically with every issue. You're going to have a good mix of old and new talent. And that's what you need for the industry. And this is what you're going to need for any industry, is that you're going to have old and new talent working alongside each other, so that way you can maintain I guess tradition is one way to put it, but just the ethos of the industry. It has to be passed on from person to person, especially if it's a creative industry. It's one thing with a craft, like being a metal worker or something like that. It's just like the technical knowledge of how to weld or be an electrician or a carpenter or whatever. But with a creative industry, there's an ethos, like a vision that you have to have if you are going to be putting out stuff that genuinely hits the mark and has a cultural impact. I think part of the reason why that doesn't happen anymore in the legacy media institutions is because the people who are producing everything, they don't have that grounding ethical framework on anything, and they don't have a purpose behind basically anything you do. This is one of the fruits of our materialist, atheist, secular society, is that purpose has been completely stripped from worldviews. You can't justify having a purpose. You can't justify anything outside other than hedonism. And then that trickles up to the things that you produce culturally. It's just really just about satisfying how you personally feel, and of course making sure things conform with the agenda, so you get the praise of your peers, the checks from the big corporate banks, and of course you get to fail upward. And that's been the case for Hollywood for, I don't know, probably since the 70s or 80s. The impression I get from, God, I can't, so bad with actors' names, but played Obi-Wan in the original Star Wars. I cannot remember his name. I'm just so bad with names, because I'm just like I said, I'm tired, and like I said, like Andrew's going to attest to for the rest of my life, I am a fake nerd. But anyway, I remember seeing this clip of him saying, this failing upward, and this is a problem that's been going on since before I was alive, and it definitely is the case now. You've got all this failing upward. You've got this complete delusion in the entertainment industry. Of course, you're going to have Cynthia Erivo play, Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar. So it's just like the institution has degraded to the point where that's the output, and it's just really, really sad to see. But the hopeful or the optimistic thing, the white pill in all of this, is that with the internet and with the tools that technology affords us, I think we can have a renaissance, an indie renaissance, so to speak. But we'll see how it all pans out. Let's see, Sir Alec Guinness, probably, yeah. I think that's And anyway, um, was it him who played Count? But anyway, regardless of who said it, it's just the point I'm making is that this is an observation that's been made in the film industry a long time ago. And of course, Frank Zappa talked about the music industry, where you had in the 60s the cigar chomping old guys who were like, oh, I don't know, put it out. If it sells, it sells. And you had Pink Floyd, you had a bunch of other psychedelic bands actually break out, and they were able to get into the mainstream. And that led to a lot of the iconic music in the 60s and the 70s. And then those generation of people, talking about the boomers, grew up, and they became the music executives of the late 80s and the 90s, and they had this vision of what they wanted, of what people would enjoy, and they started opposing that onto the music industry. And now we're at the point we're at today with pop music. But anyway, Mike has bad news is asking how the parks were, Jay. So I believe the Geeks and Gamers crew. I saw Chris Nova posting about that. The Nintendo experience at Universal is open, which is pretty interesting. I'm a pretty big Nintendo fan. Although not as much, but yeah, I got the Wii U 10 years ago for my birthday. I was 17. So I was in high school, and I was like badgering my mom about the Wii U. I was like, because I got the Wii U, I got the 3DS, I got back into Nintendo because I had a GameCube when I was a kid, and then I was playing on the 360, and then I was like, oh, I really want to play Nintendo games, and I love the Wii U and the 3DS ecosystem, and there's a lot of like unique stuff like Street Pass and Miiverse, and Nintendo just doesn't do anymore, and it's really really sad. So some of the personality that really got me back into loving Nintendo, I really went away with the Switch. Even though there's like so many good games for the Switch, and there's so a lot of cool stuff that Nintendo has done with the Switch, they're also still, I don't know, it's just they're on the direction the rest of the industry is going. And of course, you've got like all the drama with the Nintendo Switch 2, or I guess I'd say all the bad business practices. I don't think they're as bad as some people are saying, and I think some of it's a bit more reasonable. But I just wish that Nintendo was less corporate and more willing to embrace what made them so likable to me in the Wii U and 3DS era, because that's like the true like soul of Nintendo. It's like really to me like really peaked with what made Nintendo just so unique and interesting. And I think they could have something. They have good do Miiverse and Street Pass, but they just I don't know. It's just they just don't need to, and it just doesn't feel like they want to be a bit more sanitized of that. And it's a bit sad to see. But anyway, that's my commentary on Nintendo. So Sir Alec Guinness was Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was absolutely brilliant as George Smiley and Tinker Sailor, Soldier Spy, and Smiley's people. Sure he was. But yeah, I remember liking him in the original Star Wars, the fourth episode, a New Hope, and then you've got the Empire Strikes Back. Oh yeah, Return of the Jedi. Ugh, man, I'm so so awful. So yeah, now anyone with the internet can be a professional, and yeah, honestly, this is a good thing. Is that you can have people, with the internet, you can just make a comic book and distribute it, and it's going to be to the point where, I mean, with AI, this is a controversial thing, but it's going to allow people to produce animated and live action works, basically being a one-man studio. That's the future of AI. Now, is this necessarily going to lead to creatives using this technology to assist them? So where you're taking one animator and basically giving them the ability to be 10 animators, or is this going to lead to the point where people just sit in front of the in front of their TV and say like, I want to watch like Mission Impossible combined with the Terminator taking place in, I don't know, 16th century Japan. And then it just produces like this perfect 90-minute movie that is that. I'm sure that a movie like that would be ridiculous, but you know what I'm saying. It could be, both happen. It could be none of this happens at all. People are still very skeptical of AI, and I think there's definitely a lot of justified reason to be skeptical of AI. But that again, it's again, I think I don't know, there's going to be, it's the generative AI, the LLMs, the AI video generated, or I guess generative AI. It's a technology that is now part of the internet, and it's only going to evolve, and you're only going to be able to do more stuff with it. So you're going to, even if you don't use it, you're going to have to adapt to reality in which there are people who do. And I think that's what a lot of people don't want to do or acknowledge. But I mean, it's very typical when new technology comes out. But we got Andrew saying professional is something you become through experience. Everyone is an amateur and nobody before, and a nobody before they're a professional somebody. I agree with that. I like being a nobody, and I think no matter what I do, I'm always going to be a nobody. But that's not like a knock against myself. But yeah, I agree. You got to earn your stripes before people are going to respect you, especially if you're entering into an already established industry. And most, most things are, already established. And I think with the way, I don't know, let's see, I think with the way a lot of things are going, people, um, I don't know the point I'm making, but like but I guess my point is that for most people, people want clout and experience, clout and respect, so they're going to be getting into things that already have established fan bases and people, or I guess communities that are already established, instead of like doing their own. And plus, you've got, especially in entertainment, basically like everything you could ever want, not want, or basically any way you could possibly like stimulate yourself, I guess, is a broad term to use. But you've got movies, you got video games, you've got music, you've got comic books, you've got novels, you got board games, basically anything you can think of in terms of like, how am I going to entertain myself. There already is a community of people who have come up with that and are satisfying that niche in the market. So you're going to have to get into whatever your niche is, and try and be the best at it, or at least good enough that people are going to respect you as a professional. But yeah, that's really what I've got there. So yeah, I mean, been streaming for a little over an hour. I got 15 people watching. Always really appreciative of that. So next episode of the Braxcast, I think what it'll do, and it'll be tomorrow. It'll be me going over just some of the print issues of the old page spreads in Zalen, but I think I'm going to cover the art of Joe Bennett, because I don't think, honestly, to me, this seems to be a bit, a bit much more of a nothing burger than I was building it up in my head to be over the week. Because you had all these people who were drama farming around it, but especially checking in with you guys definitely, who have the book and have read it, don't seem to be that, I don't know, peeved by it. And that's the general thing with the community, is that the way they've responded to this, and I agree with this, has been adequate for what has happened. And of course, we got Marcos Martins in the chat, colorist of Zalen, who did a fantastic job. Really nice to see you. So I'm glad you are in the chat with us. So yeah, Zalen was a fantastic book, even with, like I said, the minor printing error. So I'll highlight it a little bit and I'll talk about it, but I think we're going to mostly cover the art of Joe Bennett. Definitely got to do that. Especially if it's going to be something new next week, and can just focus on that entirely. Love that. The release schedule seems to be maintaining, because it's at this point, it's not it's never more than a couple of weeks where you guys aren't putting stuff out, and it's a cool thing for me. On one hand, because I do this show and I cover the Rippaverse, and of course I'm a fan, so I love when new stuff comes out. On the other hand, like this, like, oh man, I gotta like plan for this, and I gotta like talk about this. So it's just like, I guess, quote unquote work. But yeah, so hail Marcos. Rippaverse's colorist extraordinaire, and then Student of God saying might be the best colorist at the Rippaverse, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think, Marcos, your work on Zalen was definitely the best I've seen for Joe's art for the Rippaverse. I haven't read his, mainstream stuff or legacy stuff, Marvel and DC stuff, and I think he's done more Marvel than DC. So I'm sure, he could have worked with a really good colorist, when he was working back then. But that's the but that's the thing for me, is that like I look for the stuff he's done for the Rippaverse. Like Marcos, his coloring is definitely the best. It's just so good, and it really elevates that book, and like the ability to get immersed in that book is just because the colors just draw you in so much. Let's see. So that Zalen printing error is such a non-issue. It's just a point to hit at people who don't like the reverse and Eric July. Exactly. Logic's finest. Could not have said it better myself. See, so with Joe's art, everything becomes easier. Joe is an incredible artist, and that makes everything easier. Yeah, I can imagine, because I remember seeing an artist, and one of the things the artist said was that if the colorist has to ask you if it's day or night in the scene, you've done your job wrong. So I imagine the way Joe draws, you can instantly tell it's like, this is dark, this is meant to be bright, this is meant to be dynamic, just because of the way he uses value and shading, and just the amount of detail is in his pencil work. and then of course once it's inked, once Fabio Jansen's inked basically everything after Alpha Core 1. There was a variety of inkers that worked on Alpha Core 1, but I think Fabio's been the inker for Joe's art since Welcome to Forest Park. Excuse me. But yeah, that's just I can imagine. You have a good artist that you're working with. It's going to be a lot easier too. Let's see, go sort of solo layout here because it seems like we're just gabbing here. But yeah. I think yeah, I think I made my point there. But yeah, it's been almost a little over an hour, so I think I am going to end it here with not too much to talk about. But yeah, definitely. I don't know. I was going to. I had this like kind of like grandiose idea of like, oh, let me talk about like all of the nonsense surrounding the Zalen'S misprint, but it's not that big of a deal. And it's stuff I've said in the past plenty of times. So I'll talk about it a little bit on the next episode of the Braxcast, but I definitely want to cover the second Art of Joe Bennett book. Because like Marco said, such a fantastic artist. Definitely want to like shout out and highlight, the great work that he does. And I think of course, it's been getting lost with basically anybody who does work for the Rippaverse. It's not the work itself or what they're actually doing in terms of making the comics. It's all about construing it as a way to maintain this narrative. But I just want to talk about the comic book. So let's see. So we got Andrew saying Joe is such a workhorse. It's incredible. We're fortunate to have someone as talented as Marco's coloring his work. Yeah, it's a real match made in heaven. Of course, you got Chuck Dixon writing all this stuff. So, I mean, it's really a great intersection of talent working on these books. And I absolutely love to see that. Yeah, second Art of Joe Bennett book is fantastic. Sir Book Sage is saying, and I did flip through it a little bit, but I'll be going over it on the next episode. And I've loved all the art of books that you guys have done. They're so fantastic because you get this great insight into the thought mindset of the artist, especially with Jack Herbert's art book. I did that after Great War Separation. And I just the way he explained his process was so interesting to me, and I'm sure I know I like the first Art of Joe Bennett, and I'm sure I'll like the second one too. Let's see. So let's see. Marcus is grateful to you guys. I'm so glad you liked the work I did. So yeah, thanks to you. So definitely feeling is mutual. I'm glad that you're aware, but I'm glad you're doing great work at the Rippaverse. So that narrative that you all don't talk about in depth about the story because Andrew is here. It's not necessarily that. Even if Andrew wasn't here, it's not necessarily something that I want to make this about because I could spend time naming names and talking about every negative thing. And I wrote a 4,000 word article called Rippaverse Apologetics, so I've got no issue like talking about this stuff in some sense, but for me this is meant to be for the fans of the Rippaverse in terms of being fans of like the lore and what's happening from the news perspective, or at least the news of the Rippaverse. So like the books coming out, and then the books coming out, new books getting announced, and of course all the the animations and stuff like that, and of course maybe video games and all the media. But for now it's mostly just comic books, right? It's basically primarily comic books, and it's always going to be comics is the biggest thing. So talking about the books and all the the merch and all that stuff that gets released, that's the primary thing. And then I don't want to be like doing a trash cast show where I'm just YouTube drama farming. It's not going to be conducive for myself. It's not going to be conducive for you guys. Yeah, so it's like hail Braxcast positive energy, exactly. So the story, man, I don't care. The story, man, I don't care about that. Oh yeah, okay, so I guess yeah, don't care. Yeah, so that's the thing, is that I think I guess I care about it more than you do. From the impression I'm getting. So yeah, like I said, it's not that big of a deal. But the bigger deal to me is just talking about the implications of Zalen for the Rippaverse. And like I said, the biggest mistake, or I think the shortcoming of Zalen, is that it doesn't do enough to link itself to the rest of the Rippaverse. Of course, with that ending, the implication is that they're going to Earth, and then once they get to Earth, something's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe Zalen is the alien Brian Solari fought during the Great War of Separation, or at least attested to having fought. In the ice, by the time Isom 1 happens, because I don't think it's explicit that it says that he fought in the Great War of Separation, fought aliens. I'm not sure if like his Dokemon card, I don't have it off of the top of my head, that he fought them both at the same, that those two events happened at the same time. But yeah, that is the that's the thing for me. So it's going to be really interesting to see Zalen's character going forward. Hopefully we get more Zalen. I think a mini series would be in order, just to explain how Zalen links to the rest of the Rippaverse. And then once that is done, then it's either give him a full ongoing series or just have him appear in other characters' books. You could probably it'd be interesting to see him in Yaira, especially seeing some Yaira versus let's see, the other Yaira versus or Yaira versus Helen, because there's been some fan art that's been really cool. Let's see. So Rippaverse fans are really great about going in depth on the stories only after the majority of their peers have the books in their hands. It's an etiquette that's very rare. Yeah. So I mean, when I do, this is my thing. If you want anybody to watch my reviews or engage with my reviews, because I always do a written review and a video review. And even the video reviews, I kind of just talk about, because I read the book and then I just ramble on about my impressions of the book. And I don't like to talk about like this specific event is the crux of it. It's more about like I read the book and then I give the impression of what I think makes the book good, or what I think makes the book lacking, and then of course the general impression I have of the story in general. And for the Rippaverse, a lot of times I like to link it into the implications for the rest of the Rippaverse. Let's see. So exactly, I haven't read Zalen yet. I just got the book. No major spoilers, please. Okay, yeah. I kind of talked about, I guess I kind of spoiled some things, but man, I kind of, but the thing is that with my written reviews, I do not talk about the written reviews. I don't put spoilers in those, so you're always safe to read those, but I'm not going to mention anything all that much. But I and let's see. Thinking is doing an in-depth coverage of Alfcore and Yara. I'd love to see stuff like that. There's a balance between wanting to do the detailed review, but also waiting till most people have theirs exactly. And for me, when I get the review, I've always been ordering in the first wave, so I always review it really quickly while people are still getting the book. So like I guess the way I make the reviews is one that's not spoiler intensive, because I never feel like I have to be spoiler intensive when I review something, because for me to communicate the experience of me reading the book, I don't necessarily have to mention like what happened on this page of Zalen or what happened on this page of Battle Beast or something like that. I can say like, oh, the pacing is really good, the structure of the story is really good, the art is really good, or the art is lacking here, or there's some issues with that there. But hopefully Garfield, I did talk about some spoilers a little bit, but I will refrain from talking about any Zalen spoilers until you get your book. Let's see. So let's see here. I think I'm about ready. It's almost 7:30. Definitely getting a bit tired, so I'm always rambling on. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If there's anything that anybody else wants me to address, or wants to anathematize me for from nerdom, you got your I guess until next week for now. Let's see. Just say spoiler alert and you're covered. Yeah, I probably ought to do that, but I'm a rambler, and like I said, yesterday I was up late, so I've been a bit sluggish, and getting into this I'm a bit sluggish. So and I always like my mind goes a million places because I got the tism. And then when you guys put like one thing in the chat, I addressed that, and then I try to get the train of thought back on to where I was going. Let's see. So great show, Joker, going live in 10 minutes. Oh yeah. So Zaid Comics does he does his live stream at 7:30. So I think this is the let's see. Don't worry, I left when you started going in depth. I just got back. Maybe a spoiler tag on the screen and specify which book. Yeah, that's one thing is that I definitely and to tell you guys before I sign off, I'm going to be going on hiatus from Braxcast Live soon because I'm going to move. So I won't have access to my setup, and then I'm going to have to get a new setup and everything. So that's going to take a while. So it's probably, hopefully, it's no more than 6 weeks of me not doing Braxcast Live. But I'm going to have to get myself moved, get myself established, get on a new schedule, and then hopefully I can maintain the same time slot because you guys seem. I think this works out well because Comics, you guys, Brandon and Philip, they do the live stream at 7:30. I do the live stream at 6. So I go for about 90 minutes, and then it can go right into the those guys to your stream. Let's see. I see Zalen'S mops the floor with any other character in the Rippaverse that we've come across so far. Yeah. So Garfield saying, good luck with the move. What are you saying that you guys enjoy the live stream and you don't want me to be on hiatus for that long? So yeah, but like I said, it's the reality of the situation. So I can't stay where I'm currently at forever. Like I have to crawl out of my mother's basement and get out of the nest. And it's going to take some time. But hopefully it won't be too long. And thank you for the good luck with the move. But if you guys, I don't know. You guys can always support my Substack, velvetroompublishing.substack.com. Pay for the Substack, and if I had one of the things that would guarantee me being able to put time into it is if I had a consistent amount of money I was making every month from Velvet Room Publishing, so that way I wouldn't have to worry about getting like a second job or anything. Come back with a new studio setup. Yeah, that's one thing. It's just like getting a place that's big enough. Because I don't think no, actually I know I won't be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment like right away. And then if I can get I'll probably have to get a small place, and then might be able to build up a little bit of a studio. We'll see. But definitely planning on doing something. And I've got a ton of Rippaverse posters still in their tubes, but I think I've got too many. Unless I get like all the walls. I want to get frames, especially if we got frames for them. But yeah, so there's definitely a lot of stuff I can do, but it's going to be like I have to get into the place and then assess what I can do, and then getting all my stuff. So it's going to take some time. So and I'll make a video in June, like around the time it happens, and I'll explain to you guys that there is going to be a hiatus, and there's also going to be like basically no reviews during that time for comics. So you guys like my comic book reviews, then that's going to go on hiatus as well. For because then I've reviewed I still got a bunch of books I got to review before the move. But it's going to be basically the coverage and everything is going to slow down. So I'm going to try and do the Braxcast episodes that I've been doing every Saturday since I started this, and all the podcasting content that I do on the Substack and the Rumble. And I post them to Twitter or X. So I'll try to maintain all of that, and I do the daily poll. That'll be pretty easy for me to maintain for my laptop. Hopefully it keeps working. Because I got a new one for Christmas, and it had these like boot issues, and I had to edit the registry to get it off of Modern Standby, and it seems to be mostly working, but it's like at the hardware level where it has this like power saving Modern Standby and just causes it to like go really wonky with booting. And I updated the BIOS, and I'm not sure if opening it up and resetting something, and I don't think I think it's a firmware issue, not a hardware one. But anyway, that's the whole rant there. But I'm going to be on the laptop for a little bit. I'm not going to have the most stable internet connection, so I'm not going to want to live stream every week. But hopefully, before the end of the summer, I'll have I don't want to say permanent, but I'll have a good, consistent setup. I'll be moved, and I'll be able to, and hopefully I'll do a whole bunch of stuff, like because I'm going to like really like kick things into high gear, get into a real, hopefully, Lord willing, get into a really good productivity streak, and I do a whole bunch of stuff, not only with Braxcast, but with Velvet Room Publishing in general. But anyway, I'm going to end it here, guys. Hope you guys enjoy this one, especially all of my ranting. Check out Zay Comics live stream. But I'll catch you guys next week.